Hello, dear fan of our channel. If you find pleasure and joy in watching our videos, don't forget to leave your likes. It's like applause for us. And to be part of our creative journey, and not to miss the whole palette of fascinating stories, subscribe to our channel. Your support in the form of likes fuels our energy for new creations, and your subscription is a brick in the foundation of our overall growth and prosperity.
Little Sins. Chapter 6. She nodded, then fell silent, and gave me her full attention downstairs. I watched her, satisfied. She was at her best like this, beautiful, devoted to my pleasure. I noticed that her ass was high up. I thought that this attention made her very tender. Kelly entered the bedroom and walked past. "Don't mind me. I'm taking another bath. I like your bath. Damn jacuzzi tub in the bathroom." My wife didn't even blink as she continued to push for my release. I heard the water bubbling in the bathroom, and then Kelly appeared and slid over to me. "I hope you don't mind. I like watching her with you." "I don't mind. Wendy?" Wendy didn't even look up. She shook her head slightly, and a few seconds later signaled, "Okay," to us. Kelly nuzzled against my neck. "Are you really okay with me staying here?" "I'll be upset if you leave," I said, kissing the top of her head. Her hand rubbed against mine. "I won't get in the way. I promise. I'll help around the house in any way I can. I swear I won't interfere with your marriage." "I know. I just want you to be happy, Angel. Let me know what you need and I'll do my best." She sighed. "Give me a hug, John. Hold me, and let me see what love should be." I pulled her against me, and we watched my wife give me pleasure. I concentrated on what she was doing and let my own needs build up. She entered me full force, no longer playing the delay game, and I groaned in relief. She raised her eyes to Kelly. "Want to help?" Kelly shook her head. "Not this time. I want to watch you, if that's okay with you." Wendy grinned. "Your loss." After a couple minutes, she was still playing, and Kelly got off the bed. "We should check the tub." I cheated a little. The water was running slow. She smiled and gave me a quick kiss. Then she hugged Wendy from behind. "Take care of him." "Always," Wendy replied. Finished playing. She climbed back into my arms. "Do you love me?" she asked. "Silly girl. I love you more and more every day." She kissed my shoulder. "I know you show it all the time, but I like to hear it. I'm not complaining, but you haven't said it much these past few months. I know you show it, but the words, they're special to me." I thought about it. She was right. I hadn't told her that often enough. It seemed to me that when you kept repeating the words, it somehow understated them. I understood it better now. "Thanks for letting me know. It's good, isn't it, to be so open about what we need?" She nodded. "I don't know why I never told you. I should have noticed. You tell me that all the time. I love hearing it from you. If a single day goes by when I don't tell you how much you mean to me, how much I love you, call me on it. You mean the world to me, Wendy." She fell silent, wrapping her arms around me. "You are my world," she whispered. Wendy lifted her body and dug her lips into mine in a gentle kiss. "Round 2? I laughed as she twisted in place, straddling my face, and her mouth began its journey. I adjusted the pillow under my head, raising it so I could reach it easily. Wendy seemed to be enjoying the whole thing. It was amazing that she could get the cherry on the cake without my touch. Am I a bad lover? It almost seemed like a crime compared to how good she was. She seemed to like it and encouraged me. But it still wasn't what I thought it would be. Maybe I'd read too much, seen too many videos. Women go crazy when you do that. As I nursed her, I was distracted by her actions and my thoughts. I smiled until I heard her words. "Gentler than you, baby." I wanted her to feel good. My one-on-one time with Kelly was great. She responded so beautifully, making me feel strong and powerful. I couldn't have been that bad, could I? I had never had these problems and fears before. I knew it was my own insecurities. What made her leave for other men? Why couldn't I make her happy and satisfied? Was I being inattentive or not a talented lover? I knew she enjoyed doing it with me, but where was the skill in being the one for her? My wife, of course, had no idea of my fears. Nevertheless, I could not resist her efforts, and I could feel the satisfaction building up in me again. She was just about to approach him when she suddenly stood up and turned to him again. "Do you mind if I'm on top?" "Never," I assured her. She leaned over and kissed me. "God, you're starting my motor, baby. I need this." Her breathing was shallow and rapid as her movements became more pronounced in the process. I loved holding her in my hands in that position. "Do it to me," she whispered. I was surprised. It was the last thing I expected her to say. "Oh," she said. I grinned. "You're such a bad girl, Wendy," she whimpered. "I'm sorry," she wheezed. "Your mouth is mine, do you understand?" I whispered forcefully, smacking my right cheek again. "Yours, only yours," she gasped. "Never again," she said. "Naughty girl brought another woman into our bed," I whispered in her ear. She was unable to respond. I was amazed at her reaction. "Mine, damn it!" she screamed again. "Yours," she wheezed. "Always." She collapsed on top of me. Maybe I'd gone too far. I stroked her gently, then lifted my arms and hugged her. "I love you, naughty girl. I love you so damn much." I kissed her gently. "Forgive me," she begged. 100 times over. I know all your love is for me." She kissed my face desperately, dozens of little kisses mixed with her salty tears. "God, John, I love you so much. Why are you so good to me when I'm such an asshole?" I laughed, pulling her against me. "It isn't. We know you made a mistake, but it wasn't because you didn't love me, and it wasn't out of disrespect. You were missing something, and your idiot sister gave you terrible advice. I realize that in some ways I let you down. Now we're moving forward, as long as you have me." "As long as I have you?" she laughed. "How about forever?" I kissed her lovingly. "That sounds wonderful. I'm the luckiest man in the world." She giggled. "As long as you agree that I'm the luckiest girl ever. We're the happiest couple ever, okay?" She nodded readily. "You like doing this with me, don't you? What do you think?" teased I. She lowered her body, calm, submissive, allowing me to master her. "Am I a good lover, John? I know you like my little gift, but the rest." Today she never ceased to amaze. "Sure? Why do you even ask?" I don't want you to get tired of me. I don't ever want us to get into a rut. I want you to need me, to feel passionate about me." "What about me?" I asked nervously. "Am I everything you need? Am I doing this for you?" She laughed. "After that? You don't even have to ask? God, I wouldn't dream of it." How about that one?" I asked, showing my weakness. "You're wonderful," she said softly. "You almost never finish the game when I do," I said softly. "It takes you so long. Am I doing something wrong?" She perked up slightly and looked at me curiously. "What makes you think that?" I shrugged and noticed I'd stopped moving. "You're so good at this. I'm out of your league. I want it to be better for you," I admitted. Wendy looked at me worriedly. Where did that come from? How long have you been thinking about it?" She pulled away. I'm just thinking about it now. I want to make you happy. I don't want you to need anyone but me. Don't ever think about how you might feel with other lovers." Her gaze was frightened and her eyes were watering. "It wasn't about you, John. I swear you're everything I've ever wanted. You're a wonderful lover. Don't ever think it was about you or that I wasn't satisfied." She wrapped her arms around me fiercely and sobbed. "God, what have I done to us?" "Shh, don't cry. It's not that I don't believe you or trust you. I want things to be the best they can be. If I can make something better, that's all I want." It didn't help, and she curled up in a fecal ball, crying harder than ever. Kelly came out of the bathroom and looked around at what was happening. She climbed onto the bed behind Wendy and wrapped her arms around my wife, pulling her silently against her. After a while, Wendy turned away from me and grabbed our new roommate and sobbed. "I've ruined everything, Kel. Everything. I might just die." Kelly smoothed her hair and kissed her forehead. "No, it isn't. Things are getting better. It's just that we all need a little time." She lifted her head and looked at me perplexed. I couldn't explain anything not then, and just shrugged. I rolled over onto my side behind my wife and hugged them both. You haven't ruined anything. I love you. We'll come out of this stronger than ever. I promise." Kelly and I hugged her, kissed her, wiped away her tears. We hugged her, caressed her, comforted her. It wasn't the best night. I had no doubt that we would have more bad ones in the future, but I was still confident that we were moving forward, making our marriage stronger. Even as weird as it seemed, with a cute little ex-dork in our bed. I turned out the light, adjusted the sheets, and wrapped my wife in my arms. If she was going to shed tears, let them fall on my body as I confessed my unconditional love to her. Kelly comforted us as silently as she could, her hand caressing us both gently, lovingly. She helped in the only way she could, silent, warm support. I woke up nervously and reached for the baby monitor. I heard nothing, then slowly realized that Carol had it. I looked beside me where my wife was sleeping on her stomach, and Kelly was snuggled up against her. They looked so calm and peaceful, not at all like last night. Stretching, I slid off the bed, adjusting the covers on my girls. I didn't know what my plans were for today, but I knew I had some shopping to do. Christmas was only a few days away, and I still hadn't bought a single gift. Typical man, I guess. After a proper bathroom break, behind a closed door so as not to wake the beauties, I headed for the kitchen. I decided to make the best of it. After all, it was Saturday. Freshly baked croissants, eggs Benedict, orange wedges, and of course, bacon. I set the table, placing a pillow from Kelly's room on Wendy's chair. I was still thinking about paying back the bastards who took advantage of my wife. Was it enough? I know I wanted more, but could I be satisfied with what I had? In the back of my mind, the answer was crystal clear. They had to pay. I looked over to the girls who were still sleeping peacefully. I thought about waking them up, but then decided I'd better not. I went back to the kitchen, loaded the tray with the food I'd prepared, and carried it into the bedroom. As quietly as I could, I set the folding tray next to the bed, then spread the food out. The smell must have worked. I watched Kelly sit up, stretching sleepily. "I smell bacon," she said, grinning. She nudged her bedmate, and Wendy rolled over, flinching as her weight rested on her butt. "Breakfast is served, ladies," I told them. Wendy was still sitting in the middle of the bed, but when I was about to place the tray in her lap, she stopped me. "Potty first," she mumbled sleepily. I lost them both for a couple minutes, and then they were back in the bedroom, giggling and chatting. I loved the way they interacted with each other. The girls climbed into bed. I put the tray on Wendy's lap and moved the bedside tray so that Kelly could reach it. I climbed onto the bed next to Wendy and picked up a piece of bacon. I cooked a lot of it, knowing how much Kelly loved it. Plus, I shared her appreciation for the crispy, meaty goodness. We played, fed each other, joked around. "What are your plans for today?" I asked. "Free day," Wendy announced. "I'm going to stop by Walgreens and get something for my ass, though. I can't believe it hurts as much as it did when you did it the first time." I almost apologized for overdoing it, but then I stopped myself. If anything, she probably deserved worse. I left it at that. "I need to do some shopping," I told them, in private. Wendy chuckled. "Still haven't done your Christmas shopping?" "It's only the 22nd today," I objected. "That's early for me." Kelly grabbed the last slice of bacon without waiting for me, then broke it in half and handed it to me. "How could anyone not love a girl like that? Can I come with you? I'd like to do some work too. I won't get in your way." Wendy spoke up. "If someone brings me lotion, I'll keep the home fire going and keep an eye on Ginny." We finished our meal, and Kelly jumped to her feet. "I'll take care of the mess. You two relax." I was ready enough and cuddled up to my wife, playing with her. She laughed. "Are you going to miss them when they go back to their normal size?" "I loved them before, and I'll love them after. Of course, now they're awesome," I teased. "They hurt. Be gentle." We were still cuddling when Kelly climbed back onto the bed next to me. "What are we going to do now?" she asked, leaning against me. Wendy laughed. "You want to get him ready for me?" Kelly didn't need any further encouragement. She climbed under the blanket, and I felt her up. I didn't have to prepare for long. My wife had already made me feel pretty good. I didn't judge the teenager for her efforts. Wendy kneeled down, her face above mine. God, you're so spoiled. She kissed me. The luckiest man in the world, who has the best wife in the world, I assured her. She stopped, smiling. A puppy? It would be my pleasure, I told her. I pulled away from Kelly's attention and moved behind my wife's back. I stroked her gently. Kelly lay next to us, our audience, and the corner of her lips lifted in a slight smile. God, I love watching you two together. I grinned and kissed her. Shit, she said, dropping her head to the bed. I pulled back a little, stroking her for a long time. Punish me, she said. I've been so bad. I leaned over her, resting my weight on her shoulders, pressing her into the bed. I felt her respond, but I was too immersed in our game. I kissed her. A lot of this scene I had to cut, due to YouTube restrictions, so know that we have the full version on Patreon. Kelly pressed herself against Wendy and whispered in her ear. My wife nodded, and Kelly kissed her softly, then lowered herself onto the bed and kissed Wendy before turning her head sideways. The idea was mind-blowing. For a few minutes, I switched from one thing to another. She's got a nice ass. Have you ever done her here? I slowed my stroking. Sometimes. Not that often. You don't like it? Asked Kelly. Yeah. I don't think she does it often, I admitted. She doesn't seem to mind. You should spend more time with her here. She's yours. Remind her of that. Wendy turned her head. I like it, John. I've told you before. I like doing it for you. You never come around, I replied. She wiggled her ass. She giggled. Maybe not now. I prefer to clean myself up first. Coming, Wendy gasped. We ended this game on both sides. I leaned back on the headboard, my breathing quickening. I watched Kelly move around the bed. She ran her finger down and then lifted it back up. She's such a charmer, Wendy giggled. I thought you didn't do girls? I teased. Kelly blushed. I like the taste of you. I think I'd enjoy tasting you. What about you? She smiled and went back for a second serving. Push for her, baby, I told my wife. She shook her head. No, he's mine. I've earned him. If she wants it, she'll have to take it. She suddenly squealed. No fair. Kelly sat up, grinning. She wiped her mouth with her hand and then crawled across the bed like a spoiled child. I love you guys. You're the best. Wendy turned on her side and pressed herself against Kelly. She nestled her lips against hers and kissed her deeply. Naughty girl, she murmured afterward. You stole my gift. Kelly kissed her back. We'll get you a new one. It's already ready again. Really? I laughed. What did you expect after that little performance? The girls teamed up against me and gave me the most amazing double small gift ever. They played, one at a time. After a while, they got serious. They teased me by dragging it out. Kelly showing Wendy how to slow the pace. Make it last. Do it, Kelly said softly. Wendy climbed on top of me and then lowered herself down. She didn't stay in the saddle long, no more than a minute, and then they both started giving little gifts again. Kelly giggled. He's got you good. Wendy nodded. I know. I'm such a fool. I could do this forever. Again, teased Kelly, Wendy said. I'm getting close. Do it for me, she gasped, piling on top of me. Now, said I. She leaned back and lay back down. Do you like it? I said softly, hugging my stunning wife. Oh, yes, she said. They stayed in that position for ages. From my vantage point, I could see tears in Kelly's eyes as she pulled away. Thank you, she whispered. Wendy put her arms around her. I took advantage of the situation and squeezed our playmates' buns. It felt good, but they were getting heavy. I can't breathe, I teased. Wendy chuckled. Don't be a coward, John. They separated in different directions, one at a time, and I hugged them. That was amazing. Wendy giggled. I know, don't I? Who would have thought it? Honestly, I didn't think we could get any better. Kelly pressed herself against me. You're both too good for me, she murmured. Impossible, I told her, snuggling against her. Wendy? John? Came a voice from the hallway. Wendy started to break free of my grip, gasping. Oh shit, I forgot Mom brought Ginny over early. I laughed and hugged her tightly, not letting her break free, teasing her. John, let go, squeaked Wendy, resisting cutely. Kelly giggled, snuggling against him. Stay, Wendy. Make her jealous. She's my mom. A giggle was heard from the doorway. Well, looks like someone had a good morning. Wendy buried her face in my shoulder. I'm going to get you for this, she whispered, biting me hard. Good morning, Carol. And yes, it was a very good morning. She walked over to the bed and put Ginny on my chest. Someone's hungry, she said. Do your duty, daughter. Wendy blushed profusely as she rolled over and sat up, pulling the baby to her chest. Mommy, I can't believe you're here. Carol laughed. Nothing I haven't seen before. She kicked off her shoes and climbed up behind Kelly. Can I have another one? Ed is going to be so jealous when I tell him about this. Kelly rolled over and hugged her mother-in-law. You're too dressed for this bed, Mom. Carol laughed. Oh no, Ed's going to kill me. Kelly sat up and started pulling her shirt on. Come on, make yourself comfortable. We're done playing for the day. Now it's just cuddle time. Kelly, snapped Wendy. Carol giggled and let Kelly pull her shirt off. He won't want to see that old body when you two are here. Are you kidding? I laughed. You're hot, Carol. She resisted a little longer, but finally gave in to the inevitable. I couldn't help but hope that Wendy would still look as good 20 years from now. This is embarrassing, Kelly, Mom whispered. Come here, beautiful, give us a hug, I told her. She pressed herself against me, putting her foot on mine. You're bad, kids. Were you planning on spending all day in bed? It's almost 11 o'clock. Kelly snuggled up behind her and kissed her shoulder. I told you this was cuddle time. We're going shopping in a little while. Ginny fed contentedly, and Wendy watched her. I'll tell Daddy about you, she told her mother. What? That I was cuddling with our favorite son-in-law? Naked son-in-law, said Wendy. Don't be mean, baby, Carol said. It's not like I touched him. Carol, I said warningly, like she has room to talk. I'm not doing anything wrong. Wendy smirked. Boyfriend rule, John. Tell her. Would you do that in front of Dad? Carol laughed, stood up and kissed me on the lips. That and more. He's going to be so jealous. Maybe I should call him. He'd just die seeing your little teenager in the raw. When you two are here? Kelly laughed. Yes, you are. The little hard-headed vixen. Do you ever wear clothes? Kelly chuckled. Not if I can help it. Carol's hands were actively stroking my body. Damn it, baby girl. Your man is just beautiful. Kelly took her hand. That's what I keep telling her. Nice, isn't it? Wendy shook her head. Who are you and what have you done to my mother? I'm a woman too, baby. I wasn't always a grandmother. Not everything, Kelly said. Not everything? Asked Carol. Grandma? I'd love to curb. The teen chuckled. Well, aren't you a varmint? Carol laughed. Wendy moved Ginny to the other breast. It's perverse, you know. Carol propped herself up on an elbow. I'm just playing with you, Wendy. It's just, exciting to see 3 beautiful people. You surprised me, that's all. Wendy chuckled. Did we surprise you? I'll leave if it bothers you too much. I just couldn't resist. And then there's your wild plaything going wild. I decided not to get involved. It was enough for me to just lie there, hugging my mother-in-law and watching my beautiful wife take care of our daughter. Daddy would have a cow, Wendy said. No, he would be jealous. You really don't know much about me and your father as lovers. Trust me, he'd be happy to be here with us. Wendy blushed heavily. It's too weird, Mom. I don't even want to think about it. Carol pouted. He's a man. You and Kelly are beautiful. And he likes to see me have fun. Just not too much. We have our limits. She sighed, looking over her shoulder. Kelly! Kelly laughed, and I watched her pull one thing off Carol. We'll leave the bottoms on. I had to wear mine the first time. Wendy looked at him in surprise. Then she looked a little lower. Damn it, John. You're not going to go to any trouble for my mother, are you? I blushed. I really wanted to stay away from this, but my body betrayed me. I can't help it, baby. Every time I look at her, I think of you 20 years from now. I'm going to love growing old with you. Who are you calling old? Teased Carol, nudging me. Not old, but older. Damn, Carol, you're gorgeous. She blushed and kissed me again. And you're sweet. My girl is so lucky. My wife wasn't done with me yet. Didn't you have enough to eat this morning? I chuckled. Like I'll ever get sick of you. Kelly climbed over Carol. Can I take care of him? She asked, looking at my wife. Hell, why not? We're going to hell anyway, Wendy sighed. Just a little gift. Carol pulled back a little. I probably shouldn't be here if you're going to do this. Ed wouldn't mind the hugs and teasing, but this is too much. Didn't you say he likes it when you have fun? Wendy teased her mother. Yes, but I don't cross boundaries behind his back. Watching you do that would be a step too far. Call him. I thought you said you were going to, Wendy smirked. Or are you just messing with me? Carol glanced at her, then sat up. She got off the bed and pulled out her purse. I watched her pull out her cell phone. Ed? Yes, I'm at Wendy's. You won't believe what I've stumbled upon. No. The three of them, in bed? She laughed and then smiled sweetly at Wendy, who looked on in shock. They're going to do it again. At least Kelly and John. She listened for a second. She turned to me, putting her hand on the phone. You two aren't doing anything yet, are you? Just a little present? That's all. And only with her approval. She turned back to the phone. No, you won't mind too much if I stay and watch? No, I'll behave. I promise. I'll just watch. I swear. Okay, I'll tell you everything. What do you think I should wear? Just maybe? Yes, I promise. I love you too, honey. You're the best. Do you want to talk to Wendy? Okay, I'll give her the phone. Carol grinned, leaning over me as she handed her daughter the phone. Wendy treated him as if he were a poisonous snake. Daddy, yes, we were lying here when she came in. Daddy, no, that was after. We were just cuddling. No, I think it's okay. It's a little weird. She giggled and stuck her tongue out at her mother. Okay, I'll make sure. I know, it's just kind of a surprise, you know? Okay, Kelly's working on it right now? No, just a little gift, at least for now. Okay, I promise. I love you too. She handed her mother the phone. I'll be good, Carol promised, speaking into the phone. Love you. I owe you one. Wendy sighed. Mom, can you get me a towel for regurgitation? Carol sat up and crawled off the bed. A minute later, she returned with a cotton towel. Do you want me to do it? I don't mind since I can't play. Only watch. You can help your friend. I don't know, Mom. It's kind of weird, Wendy said carefully, looking at Kelly, who was still teasing me. She hadn't done anything yet. What could be weirder than a teenager doing it in front of your husband, in front of both of us? Go ahead, have fun. Wendy got up and walked around the bed, handing our little girl to her mother. Carol threw the towel over her shoulder and leaned Ginny against it, gently stroking her back. Wendy lowered herself down next to Kelly, and I got a repeat of our previous entertainment. After a few minutes, Kelly asked for something else. Kelly, Wendy whimpered. Go on. We'll be here for a while. We can have some fun. Wendy blushed, but still climbed aboard. It took her a few seconds for me to do her bidding. Blushing, she looked at her mother. Don't be embarrassed, baby. He's your man. It's the most natural thing in the world, Carol said. It's beautiful. I reached down and grabbed Wendy's ass to help her and saw her wince. Gentle, she murmured. I'm sorry, I forgot. She pulled away from me, and in a few moments she and our playmate were doing their thing. Carol laughed. You, John Reed, are very lucky. I nodded. I know, trust me. After 2 more sessions followed by short rides, Carol got up. I'll tuck her in. She's practically asleep by now. Don't finish the game before I get back. It's not threatening, I assured her. Wendy sat up, throwing me an angry look. You don't think we'll have time to finish you off before she gets back? I shook my head. I know you can, when you want to. I'm helpless in front of both of you. Wendy looked reassured. You can rest assured. We can do it. Right, Kelly? Whenever we want to, she replied. I nodded. I know. I figured you weren't going to cut the game short, that's all. Wendy went back to her business. As long as you remember, it's our gun, and it goes off when we want it to. Kelly turned and kissed my wife hard on the lips. I'm just happy I was allowed to play along with you. Wendy grinned. Mine, but ours when we play together. Carol returned as Wendy got down to business again. They're so naughty. They tease you so much. I grinned. Not Complaining. She pressed herself against me, resting her head on my shoulder. I wrapped my arms around her, pulling her close to me. She took the hand on her shoulder and moved it downward. Wendy got off me, and Kelly got right down to business. Greedy, whispered Wendy. Kelly blushed but continued. How long can you guys keep this up? Asked Carol. Wendy, in turn, with her mouth full, so Kelly replied, I don't know. At least 30 minutes or so. We haven't tried longer than that. He goes crazy after a while. Carol was perplexed. 30 minutes? At least. We've done it with him a bunch of times. I think the first night he did about 40 minutes, maybe more. You tortured me, I reminded her. She laughed. You could have begged any time. Carol shuddered. Christ, he doesn't do more than that for so long, does he? Sure, if he wants to, longer. He's very patient with me. We've been doing this for hours. He just takes a break when he needs to. He's the best lover in the world, Mom. She was embarrassing me. We don't do it that often. 15 to 20 minutes is the norm, I admitted. Wendy looked out. Give him a little more, Mom. He loves it. She shuddered. Oh, baby, I don't. Do you really think I should? That would be awfully impertinent. Come on, Mom, trust me. Carol lifted herself up. I couldn't see very well, but I felt Wendy lift up and climb on top of me. Do this to me, John, she said. She leaned toward me, and I could see her face just a few inches from mine. She was obviously very agitated. Wendy whimpered sweetly. She was panting, and I realized Kelly was up to something bad. Do it, she growled. It took a lot of effort on my part, but I rejoiced when she got that confused look that preceded her end. She grunted sweetly. She was driving me crazy. I'm getting close, I said, panting. Not yet, Wendy said, pressing herself hard against me. Close, I said. I nearly passed out from the experience. My world went dark for a few seconds, and then I looked up. Kelly was pressed up against Carol. Wendy crawled over to me and hugged me. Spoiled. We spoil you too much. God, baby, that was crazy, I gasped. She giggled. You like it? I'm going to pass out now. Wake me up in 2 days. She laughed, kissing me. No way, dear hubby. I'm expecting presents under the Christmas tree. You're going shopping, and tonight you'll get whatever you want. It's been too long. The girls laughed. I didn't have a chance anytime soon, but she didn't seem to mind. Carol snuggled up to me, sitting across from her daughter. Thanks, baby. That was wild. Wendy grinned. Are you going to tell Daddy everything? Carol nodded. Sure. For that little stunt Kelly pulled at the end, I'll probably get punished, but I deserved it. She's nothing but trouble. I told you so. If Daddy's going to punish you, I'll send her over to take half of it. Wendy, Kelly whimpered. Carol shook her head. I'll keep that in mind. She'll need an escort. I wouldn't trust us to be alone with her. Ed doesn't have the patience and self-control that Stallion has. Kelly lay on top of me. I wasn't being bad. I was just sharing, she pouted. Me too, Carol teased. I'm just going to share my punishment. On the other hand, he might just want to beat my brains out after I tell him everything. I'm not going to share it. I closed my eyes, enjoying the banter and the sensation. They must have let me take a nap. I woke up alone and staggered to the bathroom. After a quick shower and shave, I felt human again. Painful, but human. I got dressed and went to find the rest of the family. Kelly was playing on the floor with Ginny, and Wendy was lying belly down on the couch. She was dressed in a t-shirt and skirt, with the skirt pulled up to her waist. The bruises looked like they hurt, and I felt a little ashamed that I had hurt her. I walked over and stroked her. How are you feeling? I asked. She grinned. Mom brought some good stuff. It only hurts a little now. God, I hope I don't get another one of those anytime soon. I stroked her gently. I don't think you will. I think you know better now. She shook her head. Not from this. It'll never happen again. But I know I can be naughty sometimes. Be patient with me. I laughed, leaned over and kissed her. Always. She'll never be that tough again, I'm sure of it. I don't believe you'd ever do something so bad. Never, I promise. She wiggled her ass. Am I still forgiven? Of course. I love you, sweetheart. I know. I still have pain in other places, too. Not that I'm complaining, she giggled. I crawled over to Ginny and Kelly and started playing with my daughter. When do you want to go? I asked Kelly. Anytime. Whenever you want. Okay. Give me a little time with my girl and we'll hit the road. Is there a specific place, or is the mall enough? I asked. Sounds perfect, Kelly replied. I don't really like shopping. I usually know what I need and where I want to buy it. I go into the store, buy it, and move on. That day I had a little more trouble making decisions. I knew I wanted to give Carol something special for all she had done, and I was contemplating how much I wanted to give Kelly. I was tempted to pounce on Kelly, but held back a little. I had no idea if my wife had bought anything for her. I knew the major expense was a car. We had to buy Kelly a car like this if she was going to be assigned babysitting duties as well as going to school. A nice simple used car with good gas mileage. No need to spoil her. For starters, I bought study guides to prepare for the GED, SAT, and ACT. Poor girl is going to be busy. By the time I was satisfied with my purchases, without over-shopping as I had been led to do, I had only been there for about 2 hours. I loaded my stuff into the car and drove back to my meeting place at the mall, near the food court. I watched the scrutiny and compared it to what I had at home. I saw a slender figure walking toward me, and when I realized it was Marie, Tom's wife, it was too late to hide or pretend I hadn't noticed her. She was looking straight at me and walking determinedly in my direction. Since the day she came to the party, I avoided talking to her. I felt a little bad because I told her I would call her back. I felt it was Wendy's job now. She was her best friend. She walked up to him with a stiff smile on her face. John Reed, I have a complaint against you. You look gorgeous as always, I replied, trying to ward off the attack. Last minute shopping? She sat down at the table I was sitting at and took a bite of the hot pretzel I was eating. You never called me back. There's no getting away from it. I'm sorry. I figured Wendy would. I'm surprised she didn't. Why all these... She lowered her voice, looking around. Rogue questions? I decided it was best to try to stay close to the truth without giving too much away. Sounds like her sister's been putting some crazy ideas in her head. Like how a little gift isn't exactly cheating. Jesus, really? Why? She asked. Good question. And I haven't brought it up yet. I don't know, to be honest. I think part of it was their behavior in high school and college. Maybe it was mischief or a joke. Either way, I wanted to nip it in the bud. I think you can understand that. Then why the problem with Tom? I know you haven't spoken since that night. When we did talk, you seemed angry with him. Shit. He was probably one of the guys, and there were several of them, trying to convince her that her sister was right. Marie looked at me in shock. You're kidding, right? My Tom did this? I hold you largely responsible, you know. Her mouth dropped open. I? Why, I didn't do anything. It seems like you ladies are discussing very personal aspects of our private lives and sharing them with your spouses. I don't understand that. Wendy has never told me about your lives. None of yours. Marie blushed. I never thought, it was nothing. Believe me, John, there was nothing wrong with it. Just the opposite. We're kindly jealous of what you have. Maybe. But telling all the men at the party that my wife likes to give small gifts isn't the smartest thing you've ever done. You know she's naive and a stupid drunk. You're not doing her any favors. But I didn't tell anyone but Tom. And of course, you swore him to secrecy, and he'd never mention it. Not while drinking and having fun with his buddies. Jesus, Marie, I heard that from the guys at work. The best offense is a good offense, right? Oh my God, you don't think he said anything, do you? Somebody did it. I heard about it at the party and at the office. Not the most pleasant evening at home afterward. How do you like it when your personal life becomes the subject of humor at the water cooler and gossip at the party? She had a strange look on her face. If he were yours? She muttered. She caught herself blushing heavily again. All women know. It could have been any one of them. Do you know it was Tom? No, but I suspect he did. I know he talked to one of the guys I work with about it. I'm not very happy about it. He wouldn't. I can't believe it. We're best friends. Why would he do that? It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Maybe you and Wendy should talk sometime. Until I know something else, I'm going to have a hard time communicating with your husband. I'm so sorry, John. I don't know how this could have happened. I mean, we're talking about all sorts of things. I wasn't thinking I'll talk to Wendy. You're right. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I saw her look back at me over her shoulder in surprise, and a pair of skinny arms wrapped around me. Telling. Talking to a pretty girl when you're supposed to be shopping. Wendy will kill you. I laughed, grabbing her hands and pulling her to the side. I doubt it. Kelly, this is Marie, Wendy's best friend. I looked across the table at the surprised woman. She was in for quite a shock today. Marie, this troublemaker is Kelly, Wendy's cousin. She will be staying with us for a while, so she can attend the local school. She will also be working for us as a nanny. Kelly pushed her shopping bags to the edge of the table and sat down, quickly grabbing what was left of my pretzel. A cousin, really. Mom and Carol are cousins, whatever that means. So, you're Marie, Tom's wife. Marie looked back and forth at us. Yes, you know about me? Kelly laughed, took my soda and sipped it. Sure, Wendy and I talk about everything. About everything. I know everything about you. She paused for a few seconds, then smiled. Good things, she really likes you. Marie shook her head. I'm not so sure about that. We used to talk almost every day. I haven't talked to her since the party. She's been dodging my calls. Kelly reached out and took her hand. No, she wouldn't avoid you. She's been misbehaving for the last week, barely making contact. I think that's mostly my fault. She's been busy helping me move in, setting up my room, organizing my studies and all that. Wendy's the best, but I'm taking up all her time. When was the last time you called her? Not for a few days. I decided she didn't want to talk to me, Marie said. Things were too hectic until Thursday. Call her tonight. I know she'll be glad to hear from you. She talks about you all the time. Marie seemed relieved. I will. Thank you. How long do you intend to stay with them? Kelly shrugged. I have years of school ahead of me. I have no pride. I'll profit from them as long as they'll support me. Kelly, I reprimanded. This isn't a mooch, your family. Hell, you're more than recouping your expenses. A built-in nanny, cook, and au pair is a lot. Not that we don't have plenty of room. Kelly leaned over and kissed my cheek. Her hand under the table also stroked me playfully. You're both so good to me. I don't know what I'd do without you. Marie stood up and picked up her shopping bag. I'm glad we talked, John. I'm sorry I jumped on you. Forgive me. I stood up and hugged her, grateful that Kelly's little caresses hadn't had the desired effect. Always. You know you're my favorite, don't you? She grinned, and I was a little surprised when she clung tightly to me again. I've always suspected, especially during pool season. I laughed. Your smoking hot body has nothing to do with it, and you know it. You're a great friend. I looked at her for a long moment, most of the time. She stood on tiptoe and gave me a quick kiss. You better let me go, monster, or your boarder will have something to say about you. I sighed, letting her go. The pampering, both of you. She waved us off and went shopping. I went back to Kelly and started packing her bags. No way, handsome. I'm starving. You have to feed me, or I'll really tell. She giggled. Geez, you're nothing but trouble, aren't you? She gave me a sultry smile. Nothing. Just trouble? I have no redeeming qualities? I leaned over and gave her some PDA. Maybe a few. What do you want? Cheesesteak. No onions. Fries. Coke. Small potatoes? Teased I. Gotta keep my girlish figure. You don't want me to get fat, do you? I bought what she wanted and kept her company while she devoured it. She slapped me on the arm every time I tried to steal a potato. Ask for it, she'd say. Potatoes, Angel, pleaded I. She grinned and handed me one. A little blue girl. During the meal, she begged to borrow my phone. Something else we had to get her. She dialed the house number and within moments was chatting with Wendy. Met Marie. You know, cousins, studying, babysitting, that sort of thing. I'm pretty sure. I snatched another potato, dodging a slap. She was asking why we didn't call back after the party. I reminded her. Yeah, he said she was asking why you never called her back. Okay, I'll give him the phone, Kelly said, and handed the phone to me. I told Wendy what I had said about the rumors about her and Tom's interest in making them a reality. John, did you have to say that? She whined. I had to say something, I reminded her. She was asking about and cheating and why I was upset with Tom. Shit. Okay, when you get home, we can talk about what we're going to say. Are you coming home soon? She asked. As soon as the bottomless pit finishes its midday snack. Kelly made a distressed look. What? You ate half the potatoes. 4, Kelly. I ate 4 servings of fries, I teased. Big ones. Not really. Wrap it up, sweetie. We have to go. I spoke into the phone. We're on our way. See you soon. Love you. I love you too, she said before hanging up. That was mean, Kelly pouted. Not at all. I think it's great that you have a good appetite. It keeps you energized. She grinned mischievously. Why? Thinking of ways to wear me down? I laughed. I'm not sure that's even possible. She giggled. But wouldn't it be fun to try?
Dear viewers, here comes to the end the 6th chapter of our fascinating series, full of unpredictable twists and emotional revelations. In this episode, we saw John and Wendy continue to heal the wounds of their marriage, redeeming the wrongs of the past through sincere forgiveness and mutual support. A key moment was their ability to share the burden of adversity by confiding not only in each other, but also in Kelly, who is now becoming an integral part of their family dynamic. Throughout the episode, we witnessed Wendy's past mistakes come to the surface, but instead of sinking into a maelstrom of recriminations, the two of them held hands, ready to step into a new beginning. It's a test not only for their relationship, but also for the personal growth of each of them. After all, accepting blame and the ability to forgive are fundamental qualities of true love and maturity. Our protagonist, facing his own insecurities and fears of not being a good enough lover for Wendy, pulls back the veil of his stereotypes, discovering that true passion is born not from external standards, but from a depth of mutual acceptance and respect. To be a heartfelt narrator of their story is to emphasize that their relationship is a constant work in progress, sometimes hard and challenging, but always rewarding if mutual understanding and sincerity are at the core. The story will continue in the next chapter, where we will see how the characters will cope with new challenges brought about by the return of issues of trust and loyalty. Don't forget, the full version of the chapter, uncensored and abridged, is already available on our Patreon. Check it out to learn more and dive into the world of our heroes without restrictions, while we look forward to continuing their journey filled with love, challenges, and redemption.